Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another matchup from the Cursed Dota Invitational. This is going to be game 2 between Navi and EG, and we'll get right into it. We're going to unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. And once again, this is Curse's first foray into Dota, and so far it has been reasonably successful, or very successful with a lot of viewers. And this is going to be EG versus Navi, and we'll see if EG can come back after that disappointing game 1 for them.
Refresh me on what happened in game one? I don't really quite remember.
It was Skywrath by Dendy. And
Oh,
then
yeah,
it was
and
just
the Demon Puck.
it just snowballed out of control.
Yeah, okay, I remember. I'm guessing that there's going to be a Skywrath respect ban in this game because most teams don't know how to deal with him or what he even does completely, like what his full role is, and Navi's obviously really good at utilizing him. So yeah, EG's just going to ban that out. I don't think anybody's really surprised by that, and Demon's kind of smiling to himself right now.
You
Or
saying
Dendy,
I have
excuse
a
me.
chance, or Dendy?
Well, they
Yeah.
both are, yeah.
Well, Dendy was icon is a pudge, so maybe that could be an indicator, but I doubt it. Well, we'll see. As Navi gonna bat the Wisp. I don't really see EG picking up the Wisp, but again, Wisp is just one of those heroes that certain Western teams will want to deal with, certain Western teams don't want to deal with, and apparently today Navi just says, all right, let's decide, let's just not deal with the Wisp in general. So EG, since they do have the first pick, probably gonna not ban out the bat and probably ban out something else like the Nyx or the Coddle instead. Pretty standard.
I would guess, actually, EG's going to probably ban Magnus here, I think. Just because they have first pick, and I think that they're going to want to go for something else. Okay, no, they'll ban out Lifestealer. Because Lifestealer is really, really good for the second pick team, because you can get it and something else to start setting up your tri-lane, or you can even pick up Bane to deny it to the other team. So I would assume a Magnus pickup here from EG.
Yeah, Demon's Mag has been performing pretty well, as they are going to get that, but that does give Navi the option to pick into a Coddle, a bunch of different sort of other heroes. If Navi wanted to, they could also try to secure themselves in mid, but Skyeth, one of the best mid solos against Magnus, has been removed from the equation. Now they're going to pick up the Coddle for Puppy, so not too surprising. And we'll see if they follow up with a secondary support like the Nyx and just get their supports out of the way, or
I think they'll take Rubik.
Rubik for Kuroki.
They might take Nyx, but I think Rubik. I mean, it's going to get taken right now or banned out in the next phase if you don't get it now, and it's great against Magnus because Kuroki always steals RP. And it's just good with Keeper of the Light because you can actually just pick someone up and then they get blasted. But I would guess definitely Nyx or Rubik.
Well, I guess we're going to find out shortly. And yeah, if it is a Nyx, it'll definitely be a support because I have never seen Dendy play Nyx. He likes, like we mentioned in the past casts, are those high impact, high DPS, high mobility mid solos, and I haven't seen Dendy play Nyx for Navi at all, ever, in a Navi match.
I've seen it one or two times, and he just does a standard Blink Dagger, but then he goes into like a Dagon, from what I've seen, and he just kind of does work. But I don't know, I feel like the era of Nyx mid is kind of over, and he's just being run exclusively as a support right now.
Yeah, he still works in some matchups, but in other matchups, Balacrone can get the better of you. Although Magnus is well, Shockwave is pretty low in terms of mana cost. You have Skewer, and you can just sort of push the wave a lot faster with the Magnus, but Mana Burn will just make Magnus's life very difficult. But again, I do expect this Nyx to be played as support capacity, as EG try to move themselves in. Will they pick up something like a Lone Druid to synergize with the Magnus? EG Lone Druid, I'm not really too sure who plays it. I mean,
Jail plays it.
Jail plays it, so they play
Yeah.
as the safe lane carry.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
I don't think I've ever seen Bamboe play. I saw Malk play it once, and it didn't go that well. And that was when Malk was still playing. But Gyro's in the pool. Gyro obviously synergizes great with Magnus, and he's really popular amongst the North American teams. So that could happen. We could see aside from the Scylla, I think it's either one or the other. There aren't really any ultra popular carries still left in the pool, or at least for EG. Luna's still there, but I don't think they'll go for Luna.
yeah, Luna is sort of questionable. I mean, you can definitely do a lot with Luna, but against Keeper and Nyx, I mean, you can still do a lot. The Eclipse only one of the beams will get stunned, but still, Luna's quite squishy, and she does have a bit difficulty pushing in against Keeper Light, so EG's going to pick up the Nature Spot, but most likely for Sexy Bamboe, or just Bamboe, as he is no longer sexy anymore, it seems like, ever since he become an evil genius. And meanwhile, EG probably going to look to secure at least one of their supports right now, so maybe something like, I guess we're going to have to see what they want to go for. They're going to pick up the Shouting, so perhaps indicating they want to roam, or maybe contest.
Well, Shadow Demon's really good against Nyx to begin with because you just disrupt whoever's getting gone on, but I think the reason they picked them up is they don't really know what they're going to do yet, and Shadow Demon's probably the most flexible of all the support heroes.
Yeah, that could definitely be the case. Meanwhile, Navi not going to pick up support because these are probably going to be their two supports. So I'm going to guess they're going to try to secure their mid-soul for Dendi or may get the carry for Sakshka. I mean, wild
This
guesses.
this is when you would get the carry though, or not the carry, the mid, because you can ban out all of the matchups that are unfavorable for him, and then your mid is just gonna steamroll. Like if you want to like ensure a huge win for your mid, this is when you do it. Or they can get the carry right now, but I don't think they will.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why I think they wouldn't get them in is just because maybe they want to just see what EG decides to ban out and just say, okay, we'll put in a surprise mid, just see how you can handle it. But just because Dendi's so versatile. But since Dendi has been training hardcore on a couple mids, it might be more prudent for Navi just to get their mid right now and just go with what they know that can work in this match.
Yeah, the Nature's Prophet is actually going to be a problem because when you're trying to push a tower with the Keeper of the Light, Nature's Prophet's just on the other half of the map pushing your towers themselves. So while obviously someone can go TP to them and then they'll get recalled back to the fight, it's still really annoying to deal with. And if he has a Shadow Blade, that doesn't really even work. Navi is going to pick up an Alchemist, and they've been doing that a lot lately. I would think that the reason why they picked up the Alchemist in this situation is that nobody on Evil Geniuses is good against him at all. There is no physical damage coming out from them. Nature's Prophet can, but by the time he gets enough physical damage, Alchemist is just really, really farmed. So Alchemist just lives through the duration of RP, so I don't know.
Yeah, and Alchemist is also a very versatile laner, as he can just be put in many different sorts of roles. He can go aggressive, he can go defensive, and most likely will definitely be defensive in this case. Although, if they want to go aggressive, they have the capacity to do so, but it'll probably be defensive. And we already have previous experience seeing Sakshka's Alchemist against Cupid just go to work, farming very well, being challenged virtually uncontested. As EG going to bat the Storm, so seems like EG going to focus their bans on more of the niche Dendi heroes rather than the more stereotypical Queen of Pain, but I do fully expect to see a puck ban.
Yeah, Storm's just terrible. When you're trying to play Nature's Prophet and there's a Storm on the other team, you're never, ever safe because you'll just get zipped on and die. So that ban makes a lot of sense. The Gyro makes a lot of sense too, right? They needed that as a carry, but I'm pretty sure Navi's going to defensive tri-lane, and I think both teams know that because if they defensive tri-lane, Nyx can just chain pull for a fast 6. Coddle can just straight forest, right? How they just do the hard camp over and over. And Alchemist just does whatever he wants with his I think it's Grievel's Greed now?
Yep.
Oh, Valve. Changing all the names of things. But yeah, and EG, I'm pretty sure, can't contest it because it's a Coddle, right? So they'll just try to abandon that lane and get a hard farmer themselves. But they need to seek to protect that hard farmer and their Nature's Prophet. So the TA makes sense, the Storm makes sense because they can just both blink on you and kill you. So for their final ban, I would guess probably Puck. But honestly, Night Stalker would be a pretty good pickup, I think. But most teams don't run that right now. It's kind of trending out.
Bit of shame. Night Stalker always makes for exciting games. At least in most of my games that I've seen, Night Stalker is one of my favorite heroes. But yeah, TA, like you mentioned, very good. Not only in blinking in terms of bursting on Nature's Prophet, because right now there is no damage over time supposed to easily melt through the fraction. Also does very well against Magnus middle for the most part. Can pretty much hold her own. And Navi banning out the Phantom Lancer, so just saying, okay, we don't want to get turtled against, because Alchemist, even though he farms incredibly fast, even though he can pick up the Shadow Blade Armlet at around 15 minutes, you still don't want to really go into the late game with an Alchemist against a Phantom Lancer, although it can be possible. As we're going to see the Darkster last ban by EG, so I think this does set up the puck pick for Navi, unless Navi feels like, okay, maybe we want to go for something a bit more unorthodox since we already have the one game advantage, but they're going to ban out the Darkseer, so what does this mean?
I don't understand the Darkseer ban, to be honest. I guess Navi's just really good at utilizing that hero. Just with, you don't even need like typical wombo combo spells. You can just have the Illuminate and the Nyx stun, and they'll get both of those comboed completely, and then, you know, the Alchemist stun flies in. It doesn't have to be like Warlock Shadow Fiend for Darkseer. Sometimes it's just a simple Impale spell, and they can make it work because they're that good at utilizing it. But aside from that, I don't understand the Juggernaut ban at all, to be honest. But they're going to be a less track. It looks like EG's setting up to do a dual roam, and yep, you definitely called the puck pickup. And now EG goes into their carry. Probably something that benefits from the dual roam, but it could be just an AFK farmer. Not sure yet.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised Lone Druid made it too far. And just to go back to the bans, May Darkseer because EG was just like, well, Darkseer and the Mecha Carrier just screwed us over with the pipe. And maybe now he's just like, well, Juggernaut does well against Coddle. I mean, those are pretty basic reasons, but
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm not really too sure otherwise why else. But it's going to be Dendy handling the puck. He has been playing that hero quite often. And right now, Navi has a lot of AoE damage to have pretty good survivability in the form of Puck and Alchemist. And usually going to pick up the Void, so they're going very much in the late game. But they are going to get a nice damage boost from the Empower, as that definitely synergizes very well. And we'll have to see if Void does decide to go for the Battle Fury, or if he decides to go for more of a battle-ready build. But probably against an Alchemist, he will want to go as greedy as possible to counteract the Alchemist's farm.
Well, there's two schools of thought when you're going against someone who is going to outfarm you on Faceless Void. And one is you play him, you kind of sacrifice him early, you don't give him a huge amount of farm, and then he gets up early fighting items like Mask of Madness, and he's just all about the chrono. Or you can try to go as greedy, like literally as greedy as possible with no middle ground. And I think that that would actually hurt them this game, because Puck can usually avoid getting chronoed. And it's really hard to kill an Alchemist who's chronoed, and at that point, like, Kuroki's going to have his armor up. And the final Tinker pick, I mean, if Tinker gets a Blink Dagger, he can blink out of the chrono too before it happens. Like, when Void jumps on you, pretty much any player can blink out of that. So, I don't really think I favor either team in the draft at this point, but something might become clear later. Yeah, it looks like Navi's just playing Stall Dota with an offlane Tinker, and he's just going to do Ancients.
Stall Dota. Oh, I thought for a moment with the Tinker pickup, I was like, oh, Navi's going to go aggressive now because Void is pretty shit in the trialing. But Centaur's Courier on the Knicks, introducing the players and teams.
Okay,
But
go for it.
just Fear playing the Shadow Demon, Jail playing the Faceless Void Demon, playing the Magnus Bamboe, is playing Nature's Prophet Beat, is handling the Leshak on side Navi. It's going to be populating the Keeper of the Light, Sakshika is going to be playing the Alchemist, Dendy is playing the Puck, Kuroki is playing the Nyx, and Funnick is playing the Tinker. But
Funnick's going to cut down the 3 trees on the cliff where the Furians TP jungle, and you can do March and just shoot them from up there, and then you can go stack the easy camp. When we saw Sing Sing doing a jungling Tinker, and I was like, he doesn't know what he's doing, he wasn't being efficient with it, but what Phonics doing right now is being efficient with it. Watch, he's going to cut down all these trees, and he's going to get like both camps every minute, and it's going to be really, really effective, and they're just completely abandoning offlane. They might send, what's his name, Keeper of the Light down there, if it's safe, but for the most part, Puppy's just going to be farming the part of the forest that Phonic isn't farming.
And you can see, like, just the difference some bit of practice can make, as we saw in the Cupid game. It was pretty clear that the last pick of Tinker, or the Tinker in that game, was sort of just thrown together. This game, Navi has a plan, and they're going to send Phonic just into the jungle, just going to have that much machine spam. We'll be able to get a reasonably fast booster travel at this rate, as he has no other items. We'll probably get some sort of mana regen, or even Chakra Magic can help sustain his harassment, but they aren't going to contest the Void. Usually, in most games, this isn't a good idea because Void is a hero who greatly benefits from farm and can be challenged with reasonable effect. But in this game, since you have an Alchemist and since you have a free farming Tinker, I guess you can sort of bear with it for the most part.
Also, if they tried to challenge it, I don't think it would have been worked out that well just because Alchemist and the SD Leshrac, like, that's no joke to begin with. And you would have to put Phonic in a safe lane against a Furion, and Furion wins that lane by a lot. So I'm pretty happy with how Navi's doing this, and already Dendy's kind of bullying Demon mid.
Yeah, this matchup is pretty difficult for Magnus in the early levels. It only gets better around he hits level 3, level 5, and even then, Dendy will have a massive advantage. As you can see, he was pulled, and EG couldn't afford to pull Demon because they had to pull the Faceless Void. I think they were anticipating the aggressive Chine, and that's why Void has the Poor Man Shield, as well as having that extra set of tangos, I guess. So that's going to cost Demon a little bit, so that's going to be a kind of unfortunate, but he's going to have to recover. Magnus is going to be super important, not only just for the reverse, but again, Empower, which we've been emphasizing quite heavily, is going to be of the utmost value, especially for a hero like Void, who doesn't get the most damage until around 25-30 minutes, and by that time, Alchemist already is ridiculously difficult to bring down.
Yeah, and I just want to take a look at what Phonic's doing. Yeah, he's already killed the medium camp once, and he stacked the easy camp, and the easy camp's going to get done in the next 10 seconds or so. So, Phonic appears to have practices. Oh yeah, and Keeper's helping him out and everything. So he's not even going to have to use March on this.
That's pretty cool. So I guess he doesn't even have to get something like a bottle or a soul ring. I mean, of course he's gonna get him anyway, just for
He'll
the
need
boots of travel spam. But
he'll need the soul ring, I think.
yeah, I mean,
I've never seen it with a coddle, but I think you still need it.
Illuminate with Keeper not getting experience is not going to be enough just to, or level 1 Chakra Magic won't be enough just to keep it up. But EG responding to this, saying, okay, mid's having a bit of problems, nobody in the bottom lane, let's go for a push, we have Leshrac, and Beatis is now level 2, so that's what the moment they were waiting for, so he has that point to Edict. They are going to go to work on this tower. Keeper Light only being level 1 can't really do too much to help out this lane, so EG will definitely kill down this tower. The question is if there will be a rotation to pick up some experience in time before this tower dies. So you can see Puppey galloping all over over there immediately, and the glyph has not yet been popped by Navi, so this might allow Puppey to get in range for Illuminate. They are going to use the glyph right now. The creep wave from EG is going to approach in, so I don't think Puppey can actually venture too close. He's going to channel the Illuminate, but this tower will end up falling. The question is who's going to get the last hit. Oh, Jayo anticipating, waited until the last possible instant, then managed to save his auto attack or his right click and got the last hit. So nicely done by EG. This is going to get Puppey a bit of experience, but still a very early tower, and this does allow the supports to sort of roam around a bit more. And as you can see in the middle lane, Dundee really doesn't have that great of protection, but it is always extremely difficult getting a puck regardless.
Yeah. Laning against a puck is a nightmare for everybody except like 3 heroes. Yeah, it's the heroes really. I've been saying it for so long. He was a really good hero, and then people found out like, whoa, you can just kind of do whatever you want mid with him, and it really is, you know, in the hands of a talented player, it really is something to watch because the hero never ever dies. But I think on an unrelated topic, I'm pretty sure Jayo is skipping Midas and going for Battle Fury. And I don't know what I think about this choice. I mean, I'm not that knowledgeable about hard carry item choices, but I would think you can get Midas and get the Battle Fury up in reasonable time. I guess he's just scared of the puck pressuring him. He doesn't want to get too far behind, so just trying to get that Battle Fury up ASAP.
Yeah, I mean, Midas, you're going to get the experience, which will be greatly useful, but the faster Battle Fury will get you a bit more damage, and of course the sooner you get the Battle Fury the better, as Demon's going to take a lot of overharass, and Dendi, not yet level 6, can't really coil, as Demon not even level 5 just yet, as he's been rune controlling it up. Has 11 CS compared to the Puck's 18, but you can see Puck just manhandling this lane with the full level advantage, and the denies just reaching through the roof. And meanwhile, on the top lane, Nyx has managed to pick himself up a boost speed, and Bamboe with the Ring of Bacillus and several sets of tangos. I guess EG pulled him as well. Interesting.
Yeah, I guess I thought he was going to be solo versus the Tinker. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And because the Void was pulled stuff because they thought that he was going to be facing a lot of harass. But EG mispredicts the lanes, and it actually goes out to hurt them because they wasted a lot of money. And I think they would have picked up like an early smoke on their supports, which their supports don't have, and they would have tried to gank Dendi mid. But Phonic's level 4, he just hit level 4, and he's already got Boots Bottle and 200 gold, so that's pretty legit.
Yeah, and here comes
Gank
the
mid.
Dream Coil, here comes the missiles, the orb flies in, and actually Dendi switches out his target. He hit the courier once. I guess he was a bit confused. May recognize that Demon couldn't be killed, so he's just like, fuck you, courier. I'm not too sure.
No, Demon would have been killed. He needed to hit him one time. I think he misclicked on the courier. Or maybe he attack moved.
Oh, Bamboe on the top lane is going to get ganked by Kuroki as well as the Sakshika, but what a tree block. Bamboo Dota, best Dota, as Sakshika is going to take a relentless amount of damage from the tower. Kuroki managed to get in there, so the Alchemist could actually cast stun, but Kuroki getting gone upon by Bamboe. It's going to be an epic duel, as we're going to see a rotation by Fear, teleports in and does pick up the first blood on Kuroki, so wow, Bamboe with a really, really smart tree block. He would have been dead for sure, but Kuroki, more aggressive than most support players, definitely going to cost him in that exchange.
Yeah, that was a really, really high skilled play, and that shouldn't happen. Like the offlane Furion picking up a kill against someone like the enemy support diving him, that's not supposed to happen. And it's not that Kirky messed up, it's just Bamboe played really absurdly well.
So EG definitely dodging a couple bullets right there. Not only did Demon not die in the middle lane, but Bamboe was able to get some experience and help contribute to a kill on the top lane. And we're going to see a smoke trying to gank out that Alchemist perhaps, or may try to gank out the Keeper Light in the jungle by the two supports as Beatis and Fear. Beatis level 4, Fear level 4. So they have 1 point Disruption, 1 point Soul Catcher, and Beatis, I imagine, going to have that 2 points into... Oh, but the Shockwave actually managed to hit Puppey. Unfortunately, wasn't able to see it, and the disruption into the split of the chain stun was just on the ball. So EG making a lot of things happen, and man, that Shockwave just proving to be an annoyance. Does that actually happen when you're smoked up? Will it still shockwave you?
I don't know. I think it's not even supposed to do that. Isn't that like a bug in Dota 2?
Yeah.
I don't know. I know the creeps are not exactly on par with what they're supposed to be with Dota 1. It's just a little bit different, but yeah, it's an annoying creep.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, that was a smoker to see and a lot of rotation, a lot of time just spent killing Keeper and Alchemist. And meanwhile, Sakshika not really being punished too heavily. In the last game we saw against Cupad, Sakshika managed to get his way towards a fast minus at around 6 minutes. In this game, he went for the same exact skill build. We'll see if he does decide to go for the minus yet again, or it might be a little bit too late. I'm not too sure.
well, I don't see there's anything wrong with being greedy this game, but I don't think he will this game. I mean, he's already got 2K in the bank, right? At that point, he would have already had it.
Yeah, that's definitely true. As Funnick just contained Daniel the jungle, almost level 6, has gonna pick up the Soul Ring right now, so he's heavily doing his Boots of Travel just to get the sustainability items. I guess he feels like since he's being uninterrupted and since his teammates see the farm, getting Boots of Travel actually sooner would maybe hurt him. Or maybe just feels like, alright, Soul Ring is just such a necessity before the Boots of Travel, just to sustain myself, so my supports can roam out a bit more. That could be the case as well, but yeah, he's gonna have that Soul Ring online, and next stop is gonna be to the Boots of Travel.
Yeah, and his jungle is really going to speed up as it goes, simply because he's got a bunch of stacks. Like, he had that one stacked a couple times. He's just going to be stacking them at this point, and they're going to be cleared so much faster with now that he's got his ult and rank 3 much of the machines. So really, I'm looking for like a 12-minute BOT on Phonic. I think that's when it should come out.
But overall, this is hurting Navi slightly, because even though they're getting free farm on the Tinker, their supports are really sort of desperate in terms of experience, because they can't really roam, because the bottom lane has been abandoned completely, and nobody's going to that bottom lane, so they're forced to split the jungle. But I don't think they mind. They won top, well, sort of, they won top. They're winning mid quite handily, and bottom lane was pretty much a wash, or was given up without any contest. So I'm not too sure. Maybe Navi supports are just like, well, screw it. If we can win the other lanes, then it doesn't really matter. What are your thoughts on this?
I think that Navi kind of put themselves in a position from the draft where they had to do this. So if Puppy drafted it, I'm pretty sure that they're not having too many issues with it. I'm guessing it's just we just farm until BOT comes out, and once BOT is out,
Dreamclaw in the middle lane, gonna catch out Fear, Illuminate, and the Orb. As Puppy does actually manage to get the last hit, they're gonna devour the Sentry as well, so that will free up a Nyx Assassin gank later on, trying to kill off Demon, but Demon was not in there. Match Fish Arcane Boots is gonna stack some camps instead, just to try to get some safer farm, and also give Jo, if he does decide to go there, some bit of farm. No, he's going to clear out the Shockwave, but Denny actually going straight for the Dagger, as he will have it right now, and that's going to be quite scary for this Void. So once Nyx hits level 6, in conjunction with that Puck Dagger, Void cannot feel safe in this game.
Yeah, and Void actually went for 2 points in Backtrack as opposed to getting a ton of points in Time Lock, because he's just worried about Puck coming to kill him. Normally when you're given like a ton of space as a Void, you get a lot of points in Time Lock, so that whenever someone pushes up to you, you can just ult them and bash them and get the double damage. But he knows that this is coming. Like, he knows that Dendy's going to be hunting him. And oh my god, that's a lot of stacks.
Where? In the medium camp?
Radiant Jungle, hard camp. They've just been stacking.
Oh yeah, I just saw it. I was just like, what? Which jungle? My map awareness is pretty balls, but I haven't missed a kill, unlike certain other Asian casters. Shouts to Luminous. Anyway, mass group push on the middle lane as Puppy is there for the defense. The tower is still at full HP. The Edict is going to be popped. Navi does have a glyph, so they can defend this. Meanwhile, just checking out Kuroki. He's not level 6, so he can't initiate, as EG did replant that Centroid regardless, so Kuroki wouldn't have that easy access to initiate. But this middle tower is taking a lot of damage. Bamboe is there as well with the Ring of Vasilis, as well as the Mice. They're going to work on this tower, but going to see Blinking by Dendy. Ichi was not expecting that whatsoever. A 2-man orb as Fear just going to teleport out of there saying, screw you guys, I'm going home. As Magnus gonna end up perishing in that assault. The tower not yet in deny range. They lost the Magnus, but now they know about the Blink Dagger. Magnus did lose a healthy chunk of gold. He was actually making his way towards a very respectable Blink Dagger timing. But overall, Navi definitely going to be very content. They defended tier 1, they got a Magnus kill, and they took down the top tier 1. And I'm actually surprised. EG probably should have suspected the dagger since they didn't see the trades up on the puck.
Yeah, like 90% of pucks are going to go treads first. I think Dendy even does it sometimes, I'm not sure. But the fact that he didn't have it sort of was a giveaway that he was saving up for Dagger. And then when he wasn't on the map, I mean, it's not something that you have to say, oh, they should have expected this, but it hurt them that they didn't figure it out, you know?
Definitely. As meanwhile, Jo trying to make his way towards that Battle Fury will have it in about 800 gold, and meanwhile Fear just trying to get some experience. Already with the Arcane Boots, so EG definitely farming their supports very respectably. As Demon, with the help of Bamboe, gonna clear out the stack. Looks like they're sacrificing Bamboe's farm, saying, alright, you got the Midas, you can get your farm whenever you want when it comes down to the mid-game, so we'll just try to bulk out our supports and our Magnus ASAP. So I'm actually a pretty big fan of this, because even though Furion is not that useful in the first 10 minutes, you can definitely sacrifice him.
Yeah, I think it's a great, great idea. A lot of times, some North American teams will, once their carries finished up their like early core of items, they'll have the carries buy like a set of wards and smoke and stuff, so that the supports can actually get that bracer or urn or maybe even mana boots up pretty early. And while it's not the same thing exactly, it's the same general principle. Like Fear's got a lot of items, and they're gonna smoke gank top.
Meanwhile, Funnick just picked up the Boots of Travelers. You're going to see Disruption onto the Alchemist. I think his Counter Rage did just time out. Yes, it did. It's going to be on cooldown as Sakshika going to take a lot of damage, but unfortunately the Chain Stones were not there. Fierce Purge was not enough, and meanwhile Kuroki just going to teleport out of there as well. But here comes Demon with the Skewer, just going to march his head right into Kuroki's face, but they meant to save the Alchemist, who actually went for the Battle Fury just to accelerate his farm, recognizing that Void got the Battle Fury and didn't go for the Midas, so saying, if I'm not going to get Midas, maybe I'll get the Battle Fury, just to keep up even more ahead of the Void. But yeah, EG, or Navi starting to get their items, EG getting the ganks going, but still, with Dendi just having his way in the middle lane, already saving up for that Force Staff, and the Tinker having the Boots of Travel at a very respectable time, around 12 minutes, Navi definitely not in too shabby a position.
Not at all. And I actually am a little bit confused about the Battle Fury on Alchemist. I'm pretty sure that just getting the Lightning Hands item both makes you farm faster and actually gives more in team fights just from the attack speed and the lightning thing. Excuse me, the lightning thing. But I don't know. Maybe it's a personal preference that Saksha has for that item. But yeah, I can't really figure out why he has it, given the fact that they don't really have like a Darkseer or Magnus combo.
Yeah, and also they have the Chakra Magic to help refuel up the mana, and Alchemist doesn't really need too much mana once he reaches a certain point. He only really needs mana from levels 1 through 8, but he's going to clear up a stack. So maybe with all these stacks in mind, yeah, Maelstrom would probably accomplish the same thing, but maybe he just wants a bit more rideability. I'm not too sure. But anyway, he does have a Battle Fury that will help accelerate his farm, as we're going to see Dendi eyeing out his next target on the middle lane, looking to pick off Beatiz or perhaps Demon, who does have his dagger finish. So EG getting their timings up at a reasonable time as well, as Jo has his own Battle Fury. So this game, I think Navi will probably have to make the first move, right?
I don't know. I think it's a crapshoot at this point, and there's going to be a smoke gank. I think they're going to try to kill the Tinker, but it's so hard to push into that.
Just marches upon marches upon marches as Funnick is going to be caught out. He's going to get purged up. Here comes the Skewer as the purge was enough to secure the kill. They're going to cast the Chronosphere just to pick off Kuroki. Already used a couple seconds, but gonna pick up the kill with the help of a couple bashes and the Soul Catcher. It's going to be 2-for-0 exchange. We're actually going to see a rotation by Navi. Puppy is there on the assault, going to recall in Sakshika as he does pop the Chemical Rage. Meanwhile, Dendi in the thick of things is going to get a nice shots. Reverse play going to be casted on Puppy as Fear just going to teleport out of there yet again, but he's going to be a little bit unlucky in this situation. It's going to be a 3-for-2 engage and 2 supports down inside of EG, and meanwhile, Tinker and the 2 supports on side Navi did end up perishing. A little bit of a weird engagement. Navi wanted to re-engage. They got something from it, but it was just sort of weird because Puppy wrapped around from one side and Dendi wrapped around the other, and that did end up costing Puppy his life.
Yeah, it was kind of odd. Dendi went on the group of people that was convenient for him, but his rest of the team wasn't really there, like you said. So I think EG comes out on top after that engage. I think. His Void's just going to keep getting stuff, and he's going for BKB. And once he has BKB, Puck can't hurt him.
Meanwhile, Alchemist has not died just yet, has over 100 CS at around 16 minutes, but Void is out farming him because he has been farming more effectively, and Alchemist has been ganked once, whereas the Void has pretty much been left uninterrupted. But Alchemist definitely, this 100 CS is more like 140, 150 CS, just because he did get that level 4 Grievous Greed up so early, and goddamn. Is Goblin really copyrighted Valve, or is this little midget just like a Greevil? I'm not too sure.
I don't even know. I think
Oh,
They're trying to
Fear
make it
with the
like
help of the Sentry Ward is going to get the disruption going as they're going to cast the Orb. Dagon being popped by Dendy. It was not a 4-step, but he's going to get chainstone down. Edict actually going to help secure the kill as Dendy with the Pinoy Dagon build. I love it on Puck, but unfortunately they ended up paying for their over-aggressive nature as we're going to see teleported in by Funnick, and that should be it. Navi will, unfortunately for EG, get the tower denied, so EG going to be a bit disappointed, but overall, once again, thwarting the gank and kill the mid-soul who was dominating them. Definitely can't be too displeased.
no, that's a great trade. And by trade, I mean they didn't lose anything for it, so it's a great win. I mean, the thing with Puck Dagon is that it's really good if, A, you don't need to get another fast mobility item up, like a Force Staff or a Yules, or B, you don't need a fast big item, like a Hex or even a Necro Book, but usually Hex. And I don't think Puck really needs it, but you need to get kills like nonstop with it once you have it. Like, he can pick off anybody on the enemy team except for Void, just without using his ultimate. So, and he can pick off Void or Magnus really easily with the ultimate now that he's got the Dagon, but he can't ever stop. He just needs to keep ganking over and over and over. Like, it's a snowball item, and you can't die once you get your snowball item.
A bit surprising he actually went for that before the treads. He was definitely farming very, very well, but maybe one of the benefits of treads is that you can tread switch for more mana, but he has a keeper and ball crow. I don't know.
Yeah, the only real reason to get treads on Puck is just the tread switching. That's like it. The attack speed's like negligible, and you don't really need the HP pool, because if you're getting gone on, you don't really... If people are going on you, you're dead, basically. So I'm pretty sure that EG's going to smoke after they clear this creep camp. I think. And JL's farm is really excellent. Dear lord.
Well,
he hasn't been contested at all, has he?
No, he has not been contested at all. And meanwhile, Alchemist, because of that innate passive of the Greed, will have his BKB a bit earlier, but the BKB on Void maybe more, well, not more significant than Alchemist at this point, but it's still going to be very, very, very good in conjunction with the RP by the Magnus. And Magnus has not died since that previous middle engage, so each looking in pretty solid shape. And meanwhile, in all of these games, Phonic really not having the biggest impact, to really put in positions where he can't really have a huge impact early on. He has the daggers, so now Ichi does have to start worrying about the split push, which could be a bit of an issue, even though they have the neutral spot themselves. But it's just going to be a bit of a standoff, and I imagine that we'll see a bit more passive play in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, the Lothars, Furion, and Dagger, Tinker is just like the most cowardly way you can play Dota, but I think both teams are looking to secure the late game, so both teams are happy with just stalling. So, no offense when I say that it's cowardly Dota, but when you're looking to just actively avoid fights and never, ever, ever fight, that's the best way to describe it, I think. And neither team wants to fight. Like, both teams are cool doing what they're doing, so...
Well, maybe they will be a fight bit sooner, just because Puppy will have the mechanism online. So I could be mistaken, but he does have 250 more gold to go before he can secure the mecha. As meanwhile, Void only about 150 away from securing the Battle Fury. Nature's Prophet again finishes Shadow Blade, like you mentioned, as we're going to see an engaging nice skewer by Demon as he's going to get Kuroki, but Spike Carapace is actually going to stun Demon in place. We're going to see Blinket by Dendy. RP will be secured as they're going to pick up 2 kills immediately, and a beautiful 2-man Chronosphere just in the outskirts. Unfortunately, Demon will perish from the nicely timed Illuminate as Sakshika, his first BKB usage, might not come to too much of fruition. The AoE stun doing a huge amount of work, but really, really good teamfight decision-making by EG. Wow, like, the miscalculation of damage on the Magnus just hurt them so immensely, and then what a sensational Chronosphere, catching the 2 opponents on just the edge, and the defensive disruption to save the life of the Leshrac. EG looking very, very sharp in this game number 2.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Like, Kirky, I don't know what he was thinking, but he walked through mid lane, just walking through mid lane near the Radiant Tower. Like, they couldn't hurt him, and Demon just goes, really? Is this an illusion? And then he, blinks and skewers it back in, and it's real. And they start the fight with the Magnus completely out of position and dead. So now Puck's forced to initiate, and what is he going to do? Like, yeah, he can do all the damage and hold them in place, but it's not enough, and then once the Chronosphere comes in, there's nothing they can do. So that fight's on Kuroki. And honestly, I think Puppy should have made the call to just let him die. He fucked up. But, they chose to commit, and EG's going to come out way ahead.
Well, the only only bright spot is that Funnick was not in the engagement. He didn't die, and he's starting to get his farm going, but what a terrible silver lining if there ever was one. But EG, knowing that the ultimates are down, gonna look to try to, or Navi knowing that the ultimates are down on the side of EG, looking to secure the Roshan, and that is one of the benefits of Navi's line. They don't really have to rely on the ultimates, whereas EG definitely wants the Chronosphere online, and with the double damage rune up on Dandy, they will secure this Roshan without too much of a problem. But that previous fight did give Void BKB and some extra money, and now he can start picking up his damage items. And after his 2 primary items have been finished, once the 3rd item is picked up, that's the point where Void truly starts to become very, very terrifying.
Yeah. Void's a 3-item carry, I really think. He needs a farming item, he needs a survivability item, which is the BKB, and then he needs the 1 damage item. And at that point, that's when he gets scary. And obviously, he's, a presence before, and he has been this game with the Chronospheres. He's hit some nice ones, but Void is one of the hardest carries in the game. And is there something going on mid? There isn't. That was just an illusion or something.
Well, it's going to be a tower trade as this tier 1 middle will get polished off as meanwhile the tier 1 top was killed in exchange by the side of EG. Meanwhile, it's going to be a bit of a base trade. This middle tier 2 pretty significant, so EG, will we see them defend? They have their ultimates back online, and yes, we are going to see some teleports being forced, and also the travel time between the 2 towers vastly favoring Navi. But actually, EG choosing to defend, Funnick is going to be sent to the top lane just to stall, but this tower trade, I guess in the grand scheme of things doesn't mean much, but in overall map control, doesn't this favor Navi?
I think just because they have the BOT Tinker, it favors Navi, because it's not a big a deal if you lose your towers if you have a Tinker, because he can still get to places, whereas Navi have harder, it's not quite as easy for them to get to places. Plus, it was Navi's middle lane is still safe, whereas EG's middle lane isn't. And that's the most important part.
Yeah, Navi still have all the towers they need for Roshan, and, well, that's not going to be a factor for quite a while, for around 8.5 minutes, as Dendi has finished the treads, not going to choose to upgrade his Dagon, only really need level 1, and that Dagon, now being too effective, he got it very early on, but unfortunately the engagements just weren't there for Dendi. And meanwhile, EG, I guess they didn't want to take the fight, they want to have that damage up on Void before they engage against an Aegis Navi, so they just chose to play a bit more defensively, but we're going to have to see how they react to this bottom tier 1, as Navi going to play some very, very aggressive wards, and EG going to smoke past 1 Navi ward, so Navi might be caught a little bit on the back foot, but all of their team is in fact there, as Dendi maneuvering himself into position, just trying to cut off the creep wave, but Demon will approach the Navi lines very, very aggressively. EG does not have a ward, but it's going to be so tricky blinking into the March machines. It's really just an absolute nightmare for any player, as Jo trying to approach. Dendi is actually going to get the initiation off to Demon, who waited a bit too long, going to skewer out of there, but going to get a lot of his mana drain. Will be forced to continue to run away, and will be able to escape, but it's going to be a tier 1 loss for EG. And man, just so much range on the side of Navi. This seems to be a trademark of Navi these days. They just get a lot of range and say, come at us.
Yeah, they just kind of poke you from really, really far away, and if one person pushes up, like 5 people just kind of converge on the one target, and then they die. I really think that Phonic's March of the Machines is like making them right now, simply because you can't fight into that. And now that he's got, I think, rank 2, not only rank 1 rearm, my bad, but he's got rank 1 rearm, and he's just machines, 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 and it doesn't matter like what point in the game it is. If it's before 60 minutes, really, you can't fight in that. Whether it's 5 minutes or 50 minutes, it just hurts. The supports just immediately are going to get zoned out, and then even the carries take like substantial damage.
It's especially troublesome just because EG doesn't have a mech, which is, they don't really have a natural mech carrier. Sometimes in games we see Magnus get the mech, but Magnus, I like this choice of Demon going for the BK. He definitely needs it against the range and against the immense amounts of magical DPS on the side of Navi. But where's the mechanism going to come from EG? And without that, it's going to be really, really next to impossible pushing in. They have the Void to initiate, perhaps. They have the Magnus, but they're going to have to take a leap of faith or a skewer of faith or a time walk of faith just to get in range. And meanwhile, Navi just gonna contentedly push the tier 2 on the bottom lane, saying, we still have Aegis, we still have March Machines, we still have a Mecha. And EG really don't want to do anything about it.
Yeah, they can't. It's just the March of the Machines are too good. So, Phonic's actually really close to Hex, and we haven't talked about this, but once he has Hex, if he can get Void before the BKB, or even Magnus before BKB, they're just gonna win the fight.
Yeah,
so I'm a little bit worried for them.
Void, of course, won't get the backtrack through the Hex, as Hex goes through all forms of evasion, even though backtrack is not evasion. It was triggered healing in Dota 1, but that doesn't really exist in Dota 2 anymore. But Alchemist finishes his AC, so now they have a way to break down the towers even more effectively. And EG, even though they have a significant kill lead, just checking out the goal graph, they have a significant experience lead. The goal graph really not too desperate for EG, as they definitely have the mechanisms to get themselves back in place, but just the items on the side of Navi supports in comparison to EG's items seem to be a little bit lackluster for EG. I
Yeah,
really
but look at
think
what
the
JO's
mechanism.
got.
JO's got that Eagle song.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this game can go either way really, really easily. Jo is just such a great lane, or not Jo, but Void is such a great late game carry. Like, if that hero just gets too much, you can't beat him. You just can't win against him late game. Because he's going to chrono your most important people, kill them, and then start the fight from there. So, I think EG's cool with just turtling. And I actually think the ball's on Navi. It's in their court. They have to make something happen. I would say EG's benefits from farming. Like before, it was okay for Navi to turtle because they were trying to get BOT and they were trying to get Alchemist farmed. But Alka's AC and BKB, that's a lot. I mean, Tinker's pretty close to Hex. I think that they're going to finish Alk's item and they're going to finish Tinker's item, and then they need to end the game at that point.
Well, Bamboe has his own Hex just picked up recently, and more time you give JO, like you mentioned, he will have that Butterfly online. Tinker finishes his Hex, meanwhile, Dendy very far from his own Hex. Demon will actually finish his own BKB, so double BKBs on the side of EG will be super significant against this really, really disable-heavy Navi lineup. And we'll see if Navi has the DPS to burst them down, these double carries. They're going to have to rely on the Alchemist carrying his weight, and he definitely has some items to make that happen, but really needs a couple more before he can really just go toe-to-toe with the Void without the additional benefit of that Hex.
I think he can survive the Void. Like, if Void tries to chrono him and goes on him, I think he'll live, and then it's Void wasted time. But I think Void's going to progress more substantially than Alchemist will. Like, Alchemist is still going to farm faster, but there comes a point when getting more items doesn't really help your carry. And I feel like Alchemist is one of those heroes, whereas Void isn't. Like, Void will always get better with more items, whereas each item is just a little less effective.
Yeah, definitely, just because Void, even without his ultimate, can still definitely do a lot of work. Alchemist, without his ultimate, well, he doesn't really have too many innate carrying abilities. He just farms faster and has that reduced base attack time. So Void, in that case, because he has the Bastion, because he has the defensive backtrack, will definitely benefit a lot more from these items as the game goes progressively onward and onward. But still, Navi sitting back, resting on their laurels. The Aegis has timed out. Roshan will respawn in about 3.5 minutes. And right now, EG looking to secure a bit of map control, starting to get the wards online. Has any team picked up a gem just yet? It does not seem to be the case. But Puppy has finished a Ghost Scepter. So that's something, I guess.
Yeah, and then he's trying to work towards his Ghost Scepter. Where did that come from? He's trying to work towards his Hex. And he's about 2k off, a little bit more. And again, another big item pickup. So, I don't know. It really is hard to say who's going to win games where everyone is farming. Like, there hasn't... When was the last time there was a fight? Like, 5 minutes? At least.
More than that. More than that,
Yeah.
because EG had to back off from the tier 1. And then there were two tower trades. Or, yeah, 2 tower trades of 2. God.
Yeah, the last fight was when Navi went in and Kirky got skewered in, and that's, like... That's it. Then he tried to start a fight, and I just skewered out, so... This is the epitome of stall Dota. Both teams, like, we're fine with the game going longer. And I think that's why EG picked up the Furion, to be honest. Trying to get an offlaner who can get out that fast hex is actually really important this game.
Well, Alchemist does have a Talisman Evasion. Could go for the Halberd, could go for the Butterfly. I mean, Halberd's pretty good, but there is a BKB, and it is at 10 seconds, so... And Alchemist could definitely benefit from Butterfly, even though he doesn't get 30 of the damage.
There's enough hexes on Navi that they don't have to worry about getting a Halberd for Jo, I think. I would prefer to see a Butterfly. Because if he isn't BKB, then the Halberd doesn't help, and if he's out of BKB, then he's going to be hexed, you know?
Yeah, and Butterfly, the evasion without an MKB is going to be super significant. And Navi playing this so smartly right now. Only Bamboe is farming. Meanwhile, Navi just positioning themselves into really great positions as Bamboe getting initiated on. Here comes the teleport in by Funnick, and they're going to pick off Bamboe with relative ease on the top side of the jungle. And meanwhile, EG trying to move themselves out of their own base. And meanwhile, Navi managed to apply a bit of a chokehold to EG, really forcing them into their base where they couldn't really farm whatsoever. So Navi getting this slightly in terms of farm, but still, it's going to come down to that team fight. And Jail, it seems like he's eyeing something in the middle lane now. Dandy seems a little bit too difficult of a target to initiate, although they are going to pop a smoke in his seat. And Navi, I don't know if that ward actually saw the vision. It did not. Dandy going to get Chrono Speared as here comes the blinking by Kroki. Jail does dodge it with the BKB, and meanwhile, Fear with his own dagger blinking shouting, and I have not seen that in a minute and a half as Kroki got a Vendetta away, and Jail unable to get that one last shot, and EG forced to retreat. They did not expend the RP. The only ultimate they expended was the Chronosphere, as well as that 10-second BKB. And 10-second BKB for a puck. Not
worth
too
it.
sure.
They're not fighting at this point. It's completely worth it. It delays Puck's Hex by a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Dendy, we saw how good of a time he was laning, and then just a couple of mishaps in terms of engagements as Bamboe going to teleport super aggressively. And keep in mind, in the late game, Chronosphere has the same cooldown as the reverse polarity, so it's going to be... I mean, EG definitely rely on the ultimates. They definitely can't really take as many fights without the ultimates, but their ultimates have such short cooldowns in comparison, speaking to how much damage output they could do. It's really not that important as EG, with that kill on the puck, gonna look to secure Roshan, but Dendy does respawn, and we're gonna see a bunch of teleports in. Puppy gonna channel the Illuminate from afar, does manage to clip Jail as he was unlucky enough to not get the backtrack, as meanwhile, Navi gonna rotate themselves in, and unfortunately for EG, the creepy golem is just not in their favor, so this is gonna be another Aegis for Navi, unless EG just does not care about the creepy golem.
No, EG can fight this. They have to fight this. I don't think they can risk giving away an Aegis here. Actually, you know, they might be okay with it, but they got RP, they got Chrono up. I don't see why they won't fight it. Yeah, I mean, it's a roast pit, and you got to avoid, you know? And, yeah, now that I think about it, you can let it go, but I don't see a reason to. Aside from Tinker pushing your lanes in, so that might be a reason right there. Oh, well, they're going to TP, though.
Oh, Sakshka gonna get hexed up. I don't think he saw the teleport. Bamboe positioned himself in such a way, but without the refresh orb, Saksha orb, or without the rearm, they can only get one hex up as Meal Jail does get hexed up in exchange. They're going to kill off the Alchemist. The Alchemist is forced to buy back. Funnick is in there. Dendy going to get a nice Dream Call onto Vitas. Vitas just going to try to teleport out of there. Unfortunately, will be thwarted in that endeavor as Bamboe going to get the stun on him, but dealing with the 2-man RP on the backlines, we're going to see another buyback by the Nature's Prophet as double BKBs are going to be used, and Navi looks to be losing a lot of steam in these engagements as EG gonna try to take this fight. They don't have any ultimates. This might be a prime time for Navi to go in, but Dendy doesn't have that buyback, unfortunately for him, and they don't have the long-range initiation from the Keeper of the Light, so it's going to be a 3-for-5 engagement, and we're going to see Funnick just try to impede EG as much as possible, as meanwhile Demon going to take a bit of damage. Are they going to initiate onto him? Demon going to just skewer down the ledge. Tinker does manage to pick off Bamboe without the buyback, as that's going to be a bit annoying for EG, but overall EG has got it feeling very, very confident after that last engagement.
That went, like, everything went right for EG there. Like, that was the best they could have optimistically, not optimistically, but that's the best they could have realistically expected that engagement to go. So they got a 2-man RP. One of the people they RP'd was Puck, extremely important. They killed Alchemist at the start of the fight. They got Alchemist's buyback. So Alch went down once, at least. Demon went, or Puck went down once. Who else died? I feel like probably Nyx died at some point. I don't know. Either way,
it was in all said and done. It's 4-for-4 because it was 11-5.
Okay, so
but Nature's Prophet did end up dying twice because he died, bought back, and died again. So in the grand scheme of things, yeah, Navi lost technically more heroes.
Yeah, because Prophet's done with his Hex, and
Blink
then
in onto Beatus as the Chronosphere are going to help prolong Beatus' life. They're going to go in onto Funnick. Funnick does have the bike. Will he teleport back in? Yes, of course, he will buy back in. Meal Crookie is going to be on the retreat. Meal Dandy will find himself hexed up. They're going to try to get a bit of tree answer on, but Alchemist is going to charge in, guns blazing, as Meal Magnus unable to get the RP off, and this could be disastrous for EG. Jao still has the Aegis, but Crookie going to blink back in with the Hex, and Funnick does have another Hex to go through. The Aegis does time out, and that lack lack of RP could cost EG dearly, as Jail gonna get stunned up yet again. He's gonna get hexed up. He will end up dying. He does have the buyback, but man, that was just so chaotic. EG was clearly not prepared for that fight, and they're gonna pick off Fear as well.
Oh, EG throws, man. They were doing everything right. They were playing perfect. And now they're going to lose their axe.
I mean, that was just unfortunate. That's the problem of having sneaky initiation heroes and then forcing the weird reactions. But Demon not getting the RP down really, really hurt them greatly. I think even a 1 or 2 man RP would have been useful enough. They could have had Void Focus Fire, but like you said, they're going to lose their axe despite them playing magnificently. Just in the back of one mistake.
Yeah, it's kind of upsetting when you play, like, they were beating Navi in a toe-to-toe farming game. Like, that's really hard to do. And one mistake, it wasn't even by anybody, it was just their team wasn't ready for an engage. They got gone on, and now they're going to lose Rax, maybe even 2. I don't think they'll get lose 2, though. I think Navi should back out after this tower.
Yeah, Void did not want to use his buyback, but he still is going to buy back regardless, as then he can initiate. Demon will get picked off yet again, so it's going to be another huge duration without the RP, and this is disastrous yet again. Jay will pop the RP. He's going to get Kuroki. If they can kill Funnick, he won't have the buyback. He already previously used it, as, ooh, Beat is unfortunately won't be able to get, and Puck, being Puck, actually managed to escape just on the back of Chronos here, not lasting long enough. And man, I guess this lack of BKB usage by Demon, he should just preemptively pop the BKB. But again, Magnus being killed is just really, really unfortunate for EG.
Yeah, and Dendy's got his X, and I think that's gonna put it out of EG's reach. Remember, like, anything's possible with the Void Magnus, but the lanes are always gonna be pushing in now, and with the Tinker, it'll be so hard to deal with.
Especially with Varian always having to buy back and really not being able to pick up his farm. His items have been the same for the past 5 minutes, which is definitely not a position you want to be in with a Nature's Prophet. The Rax are going to get siege upon, no glyphs, so this Rax might very well die. I think Bamboe will be able to revive. No, he won't be able to revive. This Rax is just dying a bit too quickly. Void does not yet have the Chronos They're going to see initiation on the side of Navi. They're going to pick off Fear, so no more defensive disruption, as the melee barracks will end up perishing. Meanwhile, Funnick will get hexed up. EG looking for an opening. Unfortunately, can't really find a Demon. Really just wants to make this RP count, but he's going to force his BKB, and this is going to have to force the issue for Navi. They're going to get a 2-man RP, but where's the damage going to come from? Jo trying to pump out the deeps, but Ghost Scepter by Funnick, just a little bit too much. Puck does manage to pick off Leshek in the background, and man, just Tinker is able to escape, and EG is just being kited relentlessly. This is just not good. They're going to pop the Chronosphere only on the Alchemist, but he's so tanky with the Butterfly as well with the evasion. They can't really kill him without a Hex, and Jo will get sieged upon. He doesn't have Biotic, and this is going to be good game. Man, what a snowball.
Yeah, wow. I think, well, EG got like 6 kills in the space where Navi got 15 or something.
Yeah, it was 11-5, and then it's 17-5. Man, that is a heartbreaker for EG. They played so well, and then one initiation, and EG, of course, not being ready for that fight.
Well, that's what happens when you give up all your towers and trades. It turns out when, you know, if you wipe on your side of the map, you just lose a Rax at that point. That is the downside to tower trading, and I guess they thought it was in their favor because I had a Furion, but it ended up not being, so.
Well, we definitely saw the potential of EG to play super well, and actually, don't be disappointed, EG fans, because they did manage to beat Navi in the WePlay tournament, which is, I heard they were good games, but probably not going to cast because they are getting pretty dated. But anyways, that was a really, really interesting game too. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Any last words?
Nope.
Well, thanks as always to Shred Kid for casting, and we will see you next time. Peace.